Yesterday when I started the day, I said that you are all fired. Today I will not be saying anything like this because you are all saved. You will be hearing amazing presentations today, and the world is changing. And since you guys are here, you can learn a lot from two things that I think are great. Startups are great. They are the ones that are saving the large corporations. Another thing what I like very much is regulations. PSD2, brilliant thing. Tight regulation, brilliant thing for banks. Brilliant thing for this industry. I may be serious about this, maybe not, but it really creates huge opportunities. Looking at the numbers, what PSD does, maybe it takes 2 billion from the banks in Nordics, but it also may bring 5 billion. And how all of that will be done will be heard in a panel discussion soon. But look at these here. I have two nest boxes to make you curious. Growing a startup is like growing your children. You end up, you have to let them go at some stage, but you don't want to do that. But if you give the birds in the nest for too long, then the customers don't see it. And that's the paradox. You have to take care of your fintech startups that you take inside of your corporation, or you have to take your fintech ideas, keep them in the nest for a moment, but before you are ready, you have to let them go. And that's what I want you to think when you look at these nests here. But now it's time for our first amazing thing on stage. There will be people from Spain, Scotland, China, Belgium, Finland, people with a lot of knowledge how startups and banks should collaborate together. And that will be moderated by one of Nestholma partners, Daniel. And the introduction will be done by these professionals themselves. But let's give them a big hand to get them on stage. All of you guys.
Freeze it.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. And well, I'll introduce very briefly, but we'll get into their roles in a second. But we've got Ivan MacLeod from Nordea, Jake Lee from Quan. We've got Alexander Vanhuyse, I hope I pronounced it right, and Isola from Tavik. And for first warm-up question, let's start with, can you tell us briefly what's your current role and how it relates to collaboration between fintech startups and corporations? We can go in order, maybe. Ewan.
Okay. Hi there. I'm Ewan, Chief Digital Officer at Nordea, and how my role relates to startups and the ecosystem. It's business critical for me, and it's business critical for Nordea. We have been doing a lot of work, and we are doing even more work on making sure we are collaborating with the wider ecosystem. We are moving from being just a standard bank, a universal bank, into a platform, an ecosystem for getting great things done for the customer, but not just through Nordea, but in partnership with many startups and other partners.
Thank you, Ewan. How about you, Jake?
Hi, I'm Jake. I'm the data scientist and CEO of Quan. And as we are a team in past Nordea Accelerator program, and my main role was product management, design, and also communicating with different departments in Nordea, try to know the pain points in there, regarding to our product. So it is very important role, and I learned a lot from different departments in Nordea, and also, that is help us to build our greater and better product. So, yeah.
Thank you very much.
Hi everyone, I'm Alexandra. I work for KBC Group. KBC is a mid-sized European bank. We're active in Belgium, Ireland and Central Europe. And my role is fintech liaison, so I'm responsible for scouting and matchmaking on fintech, and I instill the business to take action, and I try to keep an oversight and create a coherent strategy for fintech engagement.
Thank you. And
Hi, my name is Juho Isola. I am a co-founder and a CEO in a Finnish fintech company called Tavik. And well, the whole essence of Tavik is basically to be an enabler for financial companies and not a competitor. So basically we are helping investment advisors to get more clients, and the company was part of the Nordea Bank Accelerator program last year, so it's pretty much all about collaborating with financial institutions.
thank you very much. And now that we've gone through an easy question, let's go for a more difficult one. How do you see banking in 20 years? We're talking a lot about the future, and so we're talking a lot about the future. Let's reach far. 20 years. Who has some idea already, or should we go again in order? Juho?
Well, in my opinion, you shouldn't ask this question about the industry leaders or the gurus.
Sorry then.
Or I'm not talking about myself, I'm talking about him. But anyways, you shouldn't ask this question from the gurus. You should look for people who are actually living the life intact with reality, talking about designers, artists, young people, and the people who actually are a bit more free and living a life instead of loving the ideas and the industry trends, because that's obvious. People will say augmented reality, these kind of things, AI, but I'm guessing it's actually something totally different that we don't see from this perspective.
I'd like to add on to that what I think, or the evolution that we have made so far. So we used to be all about one channel, our bricks and mortars. Then we have changed that a bit, and we thought, oh no, our channel is digital. I think we are all now in the stage where we say we don't have one channel, we have omni-channel, so we have different ways of engaging with our customers. The future will be not about omni-channel, it will be about omnipresence. Omnipresence not being right there, right in your face, but being hidden throughout everyday life. That is where I think the future for banking lies.
Omnipresence.
So I mean, I can't say much about the 20 years. I mean, in the future, in 20 years in the future, but I know what kind. I mean, at least what kind of bank it is in China or in the UK in the last 20 years. I mean, so I think the digital or the technology has been playing significant role and part in our daily life. So I think banking is not only about finance or investment now. So technology is taking a big part of it. And if the banking want to not survive, want to growing better, I think they have to embrace technology better, and also working with maybe startup with maybe with SME to building a better product for their customers. Yes, that's my thought.
Geez, right, 20 years. I'm not going to do 20 years. I think that's who knows. Where I would like to see, personally, I'd like to see a subscription economy. I'd like to be able to subscribe to a lifestyle. And that lifestyle includes 2 iMacs, MacBook, or the equivalent, in 10, 15, 20 years. It includes transport facilities. Or in our current construct, it includes a car or 2 cars available whenever you need it. It also includes someone to cut the grass. I don't really want to have to cut the grass. I'd like someone to do that for me, but I want that done automatically and paid for automatically. I don't want to have to arse around. That's a British term, messing around with these, ladies and gentlemen. Right? Okay, if it's taxa, the receipt is this one. This is the Finnish receipt. I have to keep that. Okay, I've got to keep this. And I have to take a photo of it. All right, that's an arse. This one, I don't know if I need to keep it. I don't know. Okay, this is Taxa. That's in Copenhagen. It's where I'm based. Now they send me an email. So they send me an email of this receipt. So I'm not sure if I keep. Do you know what I'm going to do? I keep them and I scan them, and then I spend a little bit of time messing around, putting them in a system, and blah, blah. This, please, in 20 years, I don't want this. And that's what I think we're all trying to work for, is make things faster, better, smoother, and seamless. So in 5 years, 10 years, I don't want to have to worry. I want things to get done automatically for me. And then I think I'd like to make a few choices now and again, but ideally I'd like the AI to do it. And maybe I flick a switch that says to the AI, I want you to be a little bit risky today. But yeah, I'd like all the stuff done for me.
You want to be a bit lazy.
Pardon?
You want to be a bit lazy.
Yeah, do you know what? No, yes. Okay, so do I want to be lazy? I want the time back in my life to not have to mess around with doing what I did on Sunday evening, which was send a payment to the school, send a payment, an international foreign exchange, a foreign exchange transaction. I had to send I had to do 2 foreign exchange transactions, but my bank has put a limit on my account, which is sensible. Was I able to reach my bank, Nordea, and say, look, I need that limit lifted right now for 20 seconds because I want to send more money? No, it was quicker for me to send 2 payments, one on Monday, one on Tuesday. And I spent an hour and a half messing around with finance. I don't want to do that. Stop.
So probably more than being lazy, it's more about picking where you're investing the time in the parts that
Right.
you want your time invested, right? That is a beautiful future that we're imagining. The next question twists us a little bit more. How do you see the role of banks and startups and their collaboration in that future that you just described, of the omnipresent lifestyle base, taking care of the tedious task? Where do startups, banks, and their collaboration fit?
Well, maybe I'll take that one. I'll go first. So when I think about my role for KBC Group, so I was wondering who in the audience knows Lord of the Rings, the film, the trilogy. Raise your hand.
Which one?
Lord of the Rings.
Laurel's right, yeah.
Everybody knows it? Great. So the role that I see for myself, I'm a big fan of the films, and I sometimes imagine that we banks, we are all on a quest to save ourselves from doom. I'm not going to name who the doom is or who's in Mordor. The role that I see for myself is the role of Gandalf, so the magician, the one who has the knowledge, or at least goes in search of the knowledge, the one who also comes to the rescue if needed, and who forges fellowships, who creates unions, combinations with different foreign people, different foreign tribes. So that's where I see my role in the future, to really be that matchmaker, that liaison between different cultures, different approaches, different ambitions, but to really to bring that together and to create a better good.
And hopefully you never have to say that you shall not pass.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. How about the rest? What role in that idyllic future?
Well, in my opinion, the actual role wouldn't change that much in the future. And talking about startups here, basically the essence of a startup, if it's used correctly, it's a vehicle that is seeking a scalable business model and really usable solution for some problem. So this is a tool for learning about new things, and in future it should be used as it is now. So currently, like, banks are doing collaboration with startups, they are having internal startups and different kind of external labs that they are using for innovation. I don't see a reason that it should be changed in the future, as it hasn't been changing in the last 20 years, in my opinion. It's just a term for a startup, but the same kind of companies have existed in the past and should and shall be existing in the future.
So you see that the role should be similar to the role that they're having now.
Exactly, yeah.
So, I mean, basically, for myself, I think I agree the other, panelists about the opinion of whether it will be changing a lot. I don't think it will change a lot because for the past 10 years in the fintech, it's not really changing much in terms of the role in for the startup and for the big corporate. It's about the communication, It's about the cooperation. It's about the commitment, whether they want to do that and whether the startup want to do this, and they will push the bank to, try to work together, or the bank whether they realize this is kind of things they want to do. If both parties don't want to do that, there's no problem. And if they want to do that, I think we need to find a good way to work together. That is the crucial things. I think the role hasn't been changed, but it's about cooperation, commitment. I think that's important.
I'd like it to be plug and play. In the future, and I'm going out maybe 10 years. I'm just going in the future, right? I think I don't want to have to worry about where the startup is storing its data. Because now and again, when we're speaking to some of the much more newer startups, often the question that one of my colleagues or I will ask is, by the way, this looks fantastic, this looks really cool, but where is the data stored? And I kid you not, now and again, and these are very early stage startups. Now and again, we get an answer. It's, well, it's on Amazon. I go, cool, yeah, all right, where? Because it does matter to us at the moment, right? Where that data is stored, and often the answer is, well, it says Amazon somewhere. Cool. Well, who maintains the database? And they go, oh, that's easy. That's Bob. Cool. Is Bob here in the office? No. Where's Bob? Bob is traveling. Where? Around Asia. Okay. All right. Right. So, and Bob is an employee of your company? No. Okay. So your customer data, as it stands, is being maintained by a guy who's traveling around Asia. Yes. Okay. Right. Look, we need to put our arms around you and change that a little bit. So I would like that stuff to not have to be a problem. I'd like us to be, as me as a customer, I would like to be able to say, today I need a service, and then press a button somewhere. Maybe it's in my banking interface. Ooh. Hold on a minute. Can you see what happened there? Sorry, I've had a wardrobe malfunction there. Right, you still hear me, right? Yeah. Maybe it's in the banking interface, but I just want to press a button and have the thing happen. I know that there is recourse, right? At the moment, I need recourse. We don't have blockchain everywhere. So when something goes wrong with those transactions I was telling you about, when the money doesn't arrive, or when me being the idiot, make a mistake and do a typo, I want that money back. Right, I want it fixed. So I like the idea still of being able to phone someone. Not that I ever phone a bank, but I like the idea of being able to say, look, it's his problem, their problem, and they will fix it. So I do like the idea of a platform, some rails, a name. Obviously you'd expect me to say powered by Nordea or something like that, right? I'd like to see some kind of facilitator that if something does go wrong, I can have recourse. But then I want it to be seamless for me to use all the cool applications and services globally that anyone can come up with. I'd like to be able to use that with a flick of a switch. We're not quite there yet.
So it looks like we have a coherent picture altogether of startups and banks having similar roles, but with an increased maturity, probably with the help of Gandalf-like figures. Increased maturity in the interfaces between them and how they collaborate and how they work together. My next question goes not so far into the future. So we all then agree that there's great opportunities in fintech startups and banks working together. But what is, in your opinion, for the next few years, few months maybe is a bit too short, but the immediate low-hanging fruit that we should be grabbing on? How should we collaborate better now? Tomorrow, next week?
Well, I think, in my opinion, both parties have quite a lot of homework to do. Starting from the startups, they don't really see the underlying domain, financial industry system domain, the underlying things that are only visible when inside the bank. There's so many things startups and people coming outside from the industry don't understand, don't even believe when they see it. And one additional thing from a startup point of view is learning how to sell to enterprises and banks, which is a totally different world from all the lean startup things that they are learning. And on the opposite end, the banks are way too risk averse. That's the mentality that bankers have used to have for centuries, and they are not willing to try half-finished things just for buying the information. If it's a correct way to go, they are not launching beta versions, not piloting enough. So a lot of homework on both sides, and I think we see quite a good development, at least from the bank side. Maybe even startup side.
I'd like to pick in on that. One of the previous presentations talked about startups being purpose-driven and incumbents being policy-driven. And that really resonated with me because what I've experienced in my quest on fintech engagement is that mindsets are very different. If I talk to startups, I typically, well, in general, I have to be devil's advocate. When I talk to startups, I have to tone down their ambition. I have to talk to them, do a reality check in their roadmaps, typically add on 6 months to come to something feasible in terms of rollout. On the other side, when I talk to the business, when I talk to the different entities within the group, I often have big cultural hurdles to overcome because people are so busy working on the business of today. That is what we have been trained to do. We all have KPIs, we have targets to run the business, make no mistakes, get credits, get loans, things like that. So to really to have that future vision, to really be open to something that is uncertain, where you don't see any return on investment in the next couple of years maybe, to really be that courageous and be that irrational. I resonate with the other presentation, that is where I think there's the biggest opportunity for banks and fintechs to work on in the next couple of years.
So in my opinion, I think based on our experience in the Nordea Accelerator program and also some meetings and cooperation with some banks in Asia and also in the UK, I think for startups, we need to be in a role more pushing the big corporates because, as the other guys mentioned, they're very busy. They have their target, their KPI. They have to, at least secure their jobs are doing well first, and then maybe they have time to talk with the startup, even though the startup is in their accelerator program. So I think for startup, we need to really leading the communication. It's not like we're sitting there and wait for them to find you. So it's not working like that. So for a startup, I think we need to lead the communication, and we need to, to gain the trust, to explain and kind of, because we're talking about innovation, right? So the banks, not everyone know about your idea, know about the innovative stuff. So we need to kind of educate the relevant people, and then you will know how the banks are doing in your field, and you will know the pain points, and then you can fix the problem. At least you know where is the problem, and then you know how to do it. I think that is very important. So in short, I would say trust and communication is very important. It's the first step if you want to make big things. It's the first step for the startup and the banks, for example. Yeah.
I'm totally with all of you on your points, and yeah, it's been a massive learning experience from an Nordea standpoint, working with our accelerator companies, working with startups in general, because we have that dilemma that Alexandra, you were just talking about there, right? Because the people that the startups want to work with are the people that are busy providing the service to the customer at the moment and making the money. And there can be a dilemma, or there is a dilemma, in saying to them, no, hold on a minute, stop doing that. And their question is, what? Stop generating revenue, stop doing that, because this is cool, and you should be looking at this. And that is the dichotomy, the challenge that I think all banks have, is dealing with that one. And then we have to get to a point whereby we're saying it's not just cool, this is the next generation, this is what the customer is asking for now. And therefore, how can we work with a startup? And the answer is not to say, right, there is our 300-page contract, our partnership agreement. Congratulations, right? That's a real problem, especially when we say, and if your lawyers could speak to our lawyers, and the startup says, well, that's me. They say, yeah, but where's your lawyer? No, that's me. Or it's a chap down the road. Okay, well, give him the 300 pages, and if you can come back tomorrow, we have some very generic problems working with startups in the finance industry. But these are real problems, right? These are ones that it may sound flippant when I'm talking about it, but you were talking, you pointed it out, right? The startups also have to understand that there is a reality, right? And you may be below the radar from a regulatory standpoint when you're playing with it and creating something, but actually the moment we have to give it and deliver it out to 11 million customers, there are things that we have to do to protect the customer, that we have to do to protect Nordea, and so on and so on, and also to protect the startup. And that is where we haven't quite got that whole process working beautifully. We're getting there, but we're not quite there yet.
Thank you. And now, since we're going a little bit back in time, now I want to ask something maybe a bit more frivolous. Or you've all engaged in collaboration. What has been the most surprising moment? And more important than what has been the most surprising moment is that if you don't learn from something, then it was worth very little. So what has been the most surprising moment when engaging in that collaboration, and what did you learn out of that moment? So who has one that came immediately to mind?
I've got one, but you guys go. I've been speaking.
You can start. We don't have to go in order.
Yeah,
so
it's okay.
You can.
Okay, all right. Well, my one, I don't think it was you guys. It was another company in one of the startup accelerators, and they came in and they pitched to one of our business people, and we thought it was a great idea. And our business person listened politely for a good hour and said, "Yeah, I love it. That's illegal." We and the startup, we both went, "Oh!" Our faces dropped. We thought, "Oh, what?" And the guy said, "Yeah, look," and he actually brought up the regulatory framework and said, "Look, there. This is nice. I love it, but it's illegal. I mean, if you did it this way, that way, this way, that might work. But I'm sorry, your whole concept illegal in this geography." Mm. At that point, the startup said, "Thank you." We went, "Oh my God." A week later, the startup arrived back in the office and said, "There you go. We fixed it." And our business colleague couldn't understand that. What? How did you do that? And they said, "Well, we just built it." "Yeah, but you only get 6 people." "Yep." "Right, but I can't get that done with 400, like in 2 years. How did you do it in a week?" Well, it's quite strange. That was a massive learning experience for us in Nordea. And yeah, I think I can say, "Oh yeah, I know that," right? But it's making sure that the company knows that we can move at light speed. It is possible, particularly working with partners.
Thank you.
I'll add straight on to that unfortunately or fortunately, we didn't have that yet. So, so the experiences at KBC in general, what we find is that patience is a good virtue, and that is it doesn't mean because we don't get back to you within the next day, next week, next month, or even next half a year, that we don't think about what is on the table, that people, the ID generation kicks in, the mindset changes, broadens, and then 6 months down the line, we call a fintech and it's like, "Yeah, you know what, you came to pitch in August last year, let's come in, let's do business, we're ready to sign a contract." And it's like, "What? We didn't hear from you in so long." "Yeah, now we're ready, it's our priority, let's do it." So that's quite surprising. I think it's a positive one, that even though banks are slow movers, we still, when the timing is right, we still get business done. So that's a very positive one.
You know what I noticed, by the way, when you say the phrase "month" in a startup environment, a little entrepreneur fairy dies.
True.
Thank you. How about you, Jorge?
Yeah, so I have a pretty similar story as Ivan had, but from the different side of the table. So basically during Nordea Accelerator, we were discussing with our business champion and mentor, so the people that are basically taking responsibility from our startup and the idea about Nordea's client acquisition processes, and we learned that the actual thing that we had did not fit the process. So therefore we changed the whole thing during the one meeting. And basically we were thinking that this is going badly because the Nordea people were just totally silent. But the thing why they were silent, because they are astonished that someone can change the actual idea and the course of the whole product in a single meeting.
Yeah.
So therefore that's a total like eye-opener for us too, that the cultures are so different and there's so many layers in between of unknown, unconscious things that people just don't see from the other side of the table. So it's just that kind of thing, but from a different side of the table.
Thank you.
So based on my experience, I think, again, communication is very hard. It's very hard and very important. Even though, I mean, for example, even though Nordea has because we are using blockchain technology, so even though Nordea has a blockchain team in-house, I mean, they are very good, expert. They have different people in Sweden and Finland. Even though, I mean, the bank has this kind of specific team for us, like have a very, how to say, I would say we don't need to spend much time on telling them what is blockchain, something like that. Even though they have a good team in there, the communication is still not very smooth, I would say.
Internal, do you mean?
Internal, yes, because, I mean, even though the communication is okay, but when we get to a level we need to make a decision, or we need to move on to start to think about how to integrate with the bank, technically, or in business, it's come to a time it needs, I think, it's quite understandable because it's a big corporate, it's a big institution. You guys need time to make a decision whether you should be move on or not, and you guys have to have more internal discussion between each other. So management level, maybe the practical way. So I would say the communication lessons is very, it helps me to learn a lot how to communicate at least better or more efficient with big corporates. So that's very important, and it's a good lesson. It's a good lesson, not complain. Yeah.
Thank you very much, and I'm afraid that's all the time that we've got for the panel, but thank you for sharing your opinions, and I think we've learned all a lot about the future, the near future, and some anecdotes from the past when it comes to collaboration. So thank you very much. Please let's give them a big hand.
Thank you.
Nicely done.
You can get up.